Welcome to Entirely English, the online English school and the video channel that looks at British and English culture and traditions. To understand a language more fully, one must understand the culture, hence why I'm doing these videos. For details of my courses, ESL and ETHL, have a look at my website. The link is in the details below. Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Guido. Welcome, Guido, our newest subscriber. Nice to see you here. Thank you for the very sweet comment. Alright, so today we're looking at dinner and dating, simply because the two often coincide. This video is going to be focused mostly on the dating aspect leading into the dinner. Some people invite their prospective partners to the cinema or even the theatre as a first date. This, in my opinion, is idiocy. On a first date, you've already passed the stage where you know you like each other physically and maybe a little bit socially. This is your first private date, and you should be going somewhere where you can talk. You want to get to know the person. And that is good manners as well, to know the person. You get to know them, and then you both decide if you want to take it further. So your first date should be to a restaurant, a cafe, go somewhere for a coffee or a drink, or even simply a walk in the park, for example. Somewhere where you can talk and really learn about that person. You'd only expect to be talking in the cinema or the theatre if you're a thug and you have no consideration for the other people there. And I would think if your prospective partner is educated, cultured, that would repel them. So you're onto a loser from the beginning. So, taking your date out for that first date to a restaurant, cafe, bar, a walk. We're going to look at a restaurant because it will link into the dinner part of the videos. And we are going to look at some of the traditions which still exist and some which were the babies thrown out with the bathwater. So to begin, a gentleman will always offer to collect the lady from her residence, either in a taxi, their own car, or just to meet them and walk them to where they're going. Now, if the lady should refuse, you don't argue. That would be bad manners. You're making the other person feel uncomfortable. So you agree a mutually convenient place to meet if they don't want to be collected from their home. Simply good manners. Particularly in a dating situation, you don't want to alienate the other person immediately. They might have a good reason not to want you to come to their home, or they might be considerate of you. If they're being considerate of you, be thankful. It's a good start. So agree to meet. Now, when you're walking, it is traditional for the gentleman to walk on the outside of the lady, the side closest to the road. Some people say this is so that if a car careens out of control, or a horse and carriage, as it would be back in the day, it would hit the man and protect the lady. Actually, when you think about it, they're walking this way, the car's this way, it's going to hit them both, or neither. So that's not true. This tradition actually goes back, way back, Elizabethan and earlier periods. You've probably seen those houses, like in Stratford, the old traditional ones. They were very common in London before the Great Fire, where the top floor stuck out over the path. And many people would, how to put this politely, they didn't have indoor plumbing. They would use a chamber pot, as it was called, basically a bowl with a handle, and that would be their toilet during the night. And in the morning, a lot of people would throw it out the window onto the street, because the street was often cleaned by a group of men. Anyway, there's a whole system of recycling that went on even back at that time. But it did mean that the streets and the gutters were full of some unpleasantness, let's say. And the gentleman would walk on the outside of the path, so that if a carriage went past and this stuff was splashed towards the pavement, he would get it on his trousers or his frock coat, and it wouldn't go onto the lady's dress. And we keep that tradition today. Obviously, there are still puddles on the road after rains and so forth, so people can get splashed. So the tradition has some value now, but it is essentially a tradition to show you are a gentleman and you are considerate of your partner. Likewise, going up and down stairs, actually. Going upstairs, a gentleman would walk behind the lady. If the stairs aren't wide enough for them to walk side by side, generally he would walk behind the lady. This was so that if she slipped and fell, he would be able to catch her. Not to get a view of anything. And coming downstairs, he would walk before her. Again, so if she fell, she would fall into him and not fall down the stairs. I think we do the same with escalators, actually. We often let the lady step on first and then we step on behind her. I don't know if people think about why we do that, but we do it. It is good manners. It is. I want to point out actually here that sort of the feminists and the equalitarians and all those sort of people would say that these things demean women, all of these manners. They don't. They do not. They actually are there to show respect for the lady. Like I talked in the previous video about standing up when a lady came into the room. We don't do it so much now, but we certainly did it in the day. And we do it now if, for example, the king entered the room, or a duke, a judge, anybody like that. They come into the room, you stand up to show your respect. In a court, they would say, be upstanding for the judge. When the judge enters, everybody stands up. It is a mark of respect. It's not saying you're inferior to me. And that's what all of these traditions are about, showing respect to the lady, not saying you are weak and feeble, but saying, I respect you. You are important. So bear that in mind. If you disagree, make a comment. If you agree, make a comment. Yeah. This is a two-way street, hopefully. I'd like to see more comments below. I'm not getting very many. Anyway, back to our date. When we get to the restaurant, the gentleman should open the door, obviously. The lady steps through first. He steps in behind, closes the door. Yeah. Polite society, we close the door, unless it's a summer day and they've pegged the door open. That obviously is a different situation. Not many quality restaurants have electronic doors. Now, I'm talking about restaurants. I'm not talking about McDonald's, which should not be called a restaurant. Those sort of places, although they're acceptable for younger people, for first dates, and maybe middle, I don't know. It is a place where you can talk, so why not? But let's stay with quality. You go into a good restaurant, open the door, let the lady through, go in behind her. Now, taking off coats, this is an interesting one. The gentleman would take off his coat, no problem. Traditionally, we would help the lady off with her coat. Nowadays, some people don't like it, and it can be a bit creepy. So you've got to play it by ear. If you see the woman is struggling with her coat, maybe her sleeves are caught in it, or she's got her bag on one hand and something else in her hand she can't do, then offer. Say, can I help you? And if she says thank you, or yes please, step behind her, take the shoulders or the lapel of the coat and help remove it. Alright? But do ask for the invitation. Can I help you? Now, very soon after entering restaurants, you should be approached by a waiter, or if you're really posh, by the maitre d', who will ask if you want a table, if you haven't booked it already. If you booked it, what name was it booked in, blah, blah, blah. You're shown to the table. Now, again, traditionally, this one is one that's been thrown out with the bathwater. A gentleman would pull out the chair for the lady so that she can sit down. I think the reason being, if you watch those old Elizabethan Victorian films, the ladies had those massive skirts on their dresses, many, many layers of petticoats. And it was difficult for her to sit down on a chair and pull it in without battling with these things. So she would tuck the skirt in while the gentleman took the chair in behind her. It's still considered a nice thing to do, but you've got to be careful. And actually, one of the most annoying things is often the waiter gets there before you anyway, and will hold the chair out for the lady and adjust it in. So essentially, nowadays, it doesn't happen. But if you go to the table and the lady stands next to her chair, maybe making a show of looking at her purse or straightening her skirts, she's waiting for you to pull the chair out for her. Okay, always be observant. Look at the situation. Whoops, I've done it again. The video is too long. I've edited this 10-minute part out of a 30-minute video. I've still got the rest to do. Hopefully cut it down to one more episode, but it might be two more. I'm sorry about that. I will get the next part uploaded within the next day. Again, apologies, but from what we've had so far, make some comments below. Tell me what you think. Are these traditions valid in your country? Do they still happen? Did they ever happen? So yeah, the next part we will get into what happens in dating during the meal. Yeah, hopefully the entire rest of this part. The dinner part will be kept separate because manners during dinner are the same whether you're on a date or at somebody's home, in a restaurant with friends, etc. So again, apologies for chopping this up. Part of it is because my internet is so, polite word, bad, that I can't upload a 30-minute video. But hopefully the little 10-minute section is good enough to keep you entertained until the next part. Do like if you've enjoyed what you've seen so far, and subscribe if you want to keep up to date and not miss the next half or third of this video. So see you for the next video.